After the age of 50, many people are told that weakness in the hips and legs is inevitable, that squats are the only way to stay strong, and that pain is the price of aging. But the human body does not operate on gym myths. It operates on biology. The glute muscles are not built for punishment. They are built for communication, balance, and protection. When trained intelligently, even without squats, they can become strong enough to support the spine, protect the knees, and restore confidence in movement. The first keynote explores why glute weakness after 50 is primarily a neurological and mobility issue rather than a strength issue, and how safer movements reactivate dormant muscle pathways. The second keynote explains how the glutes protect the lower back and knees, and why poor activation leads to chronic pain rather than aging itself. The glute muscles are among the largest and most powerful muscles in the human body, yet after the age of 50, they often behave as if they are absent. This absence is rarely due to muscle loss alone. In most cases, the glutes are still there, still capable, but no longer invited into the movement conversation. Years of sitting, cautious movement, and pain avoidance teach the nervous system to bypass them. The brain chooses easier pathways, recruiting the lower back, hamstrings, or knees instead. Over time, this compensation becomes habit, and the glutes fall silent. Silence does not mean weakness. It means disconnection. The nervous system is highly economical. If a muscle is not required regularly, the brain reduces its activation priority. This is why many people can perform leg exercises, yet still feel unstable, sore, or weak. The muscles are working, but not the right ones and not in the right sequence. After 50, the sequencing matters more than raw strength. The glutes play a central role in human movement because they sit at the crossroads of the upper and lower body. They stabilize the pelvis, guide the spine, and absorb force during walking, standing, and lifting. When they are inactive, other structures take on roles they were not designed for. The lower back becomes overworked. The knees absorb excess stress. Balance becomes uncertain. Pain appears not because the body is failing, but because it is compensating. Science shows that muscle activation depends heavily on joint position and movement intent. Squats demand deep knee and hip flexion, spinal control, and balance under load. For many adults over 50, joint stiffness, fear of pain, or previous injuries prevent clean execution. When form breaks down, the glutes are not trained. They are bypassed. The body defaults to what feels safest in the moment, even if it is harmful long-term. Safer glute exercises remove this conflict. They place the body in positions where the glutes can activate without competition. When the spine is supported, when the knees are not overloaded, and when balance demands are controlled, the nervous system allows the glutes to engage fully. This engagement feels different. It is not sharp or straining. It feels grounded, stable, and surprisingly strong. Another overlooked factor is range of motion. Aging muscles do not lose strength first, they lose range. The glutes function best when the hip can extend fully. Sitting shortens the hip flexors, which inhibits glute activation through a neurological reflex. Until this inhibition is reduced, strength exercises will always feel limited. Gentle movements that restore hip extension often awaken glute strength instantly, even before resistance is added. Blood flow also plays a role. Inactive glutes receive less circulation, which reduces oxygen delivery and waste removal. Gentle activation improves local circulation, warming the tissue and improving its responsiveness. This is why glutes often feel sore or fatigued quickly when first reactivated. It is not damage, it is reawakening. Pain changes motor behavior. When someone has experienced back or knee pain, the brain creates protective movement patterns. These patterns prioritize short-term safety over long-term efficiency. Glute activation is often suppressed because hip extension can feel threatening to a sensitive lower back. Safer exercises reassure the nervous system. When movement is pain-free, protection relaxes. Muscles are allowed to contribute again. Balance is another key element. The glutes are deeply involved in lateral stability, especially during single-leg support. Walking is essentially a series of controlled single-leg balances. Weak or inactive glutes make walking less efficient and more tiring. Gentle glute exercises that mimic these demands restore confidence in gait. Steps become smoother. Posture improves without conscious correction. There is also a hormonal dimension. Gentle resistance training stimulates anabolic signals, even in older adults. The glutes respond particularly well to repeated, moderate activation. Unlike aggressive workouts that spike stress hormones, safer exercises encourage adaptation without exhaustion. Recovery improves. Sleep quality improves. The body begins to rebuild instead of defend. Perhaps most importantly, reactivating the glutes changes how a person feels in their body. Strength returns not as force, but as support. Standing feels easier. Rising from chairs requires less effort. The spine feels held rather than compressed. This sense of support reduces fear of movement, which further improves activation. Confidence becomes part of the training effect. The body after 50 does not need to be pushed to grow stronger. It needs to be reminded how to participate. When the glutes are invited back into movement through safe, intelligent exercises, they respond quickly, generously, and with strength that feels natural rather than forced. The human body is designed around protection before performance, and few muscles serve this protective role more quietly than the glutes. When they function well, they act like a shock absorber between the upper and lower body, diffusing force before it reaches the spine and knees. When they fall silent, that force is nowhere to go, and the joints begin to speak through pain. After 50, this shift often happens gradually, which is why many people mistake it for aging rather than adaptation. The lower back is not meant to generate power repeatedly. It is meant to transmit it. When the glutes are inactive, the lumbar spine becomes a substitute engine. Each step, each bend, each attempt to rise from a chair places excess demand on small spinal muscles that fatigue quickly. Over time, tension accumulates. Discs are compressed unevenly. Nerves become sensitive. Pain emerges not as injury, but as overload. The knees face a similar fate. They are hinge joints designed for stability, not propulsion. Without glute support, the knees absorb rotational forces during walking and standing. This is especially true during transitions, such as climbing stairs or changing direction. When the glutes fail to guide hip motion, the knees twist subtly with every step. These micro-stresses accumulate, leading to discomfort, swelling, and loss of confidence in movement. Scientific observation confirms this pattern. Studies on gait mechanics show that reduced glute activation correlates strongly with knee pain and lower back strain, regardless of age. What changes after 50 is not the body's design, but its tolerance for inefficiency. Compensations that once went unnoticed now become painful. Safer glute exercises restore this protective system by reestablishing proper force distribution. When the glutes engage, the pelvis stabilizes. The spine remains neutral. The knees track smoothly. Movement becomes quieter and more economical. Pain decreases not because tissues are repaired overnight, but because they are no longer overloaded. This redistribution of force also reduces inflammation. Overworked joints trigger inflammatory responses as a protective measure. When load is shared appropriately, inflammation subsides. Swelling decreases. Stiffness softens. The body no longer feels the need to guard itself so aggressively. Another important factor is timing. The glutes must activate early in movement, not as an afterthought. Safer exercises emphasize slow initiation, allowing the nervous system to relearn sequencing. When timing improves, movements feel coordinated rather than effortful. The body spends less energy correcting itself. There is a psychological component as well. Chronic pain alters movement confidence. People begin to move cautiously, reinforcing poor patterns. As glute function improves, movement feels safer. Confidence returns. Fear recedes. This mental shift further reduces protective tension, creating a cycle of improvement. The body's protective systems are not meant to be fought. They are meant to be guided. When the glutes resume their role as stabilizers and force absorbers, the spine and knees are free to do what they were designed to do, allowing movement to feel supportive rather than threatening. Traditional squats are often praised as a universal solution for lower body strength, but the human body does not respond well to universals, especially after 50. Squats demand a precise blend of hip mobility, knee tolerance, spinal stability, and balance. When any one of these elements is limited, the movement shifts away from the hips and into vulnerable areas. The glutes, instead of being trained, are often bypassed, leaving the individual frustrated and sore. Biomechanics explains why this happens. As joints stiffen with age or inactivity, the body seeks the path of least resistance. During a squat, limited hip motion or ankle mobility pushes the torso forward. This increases spinal load and shifts effort to the knees. The nervous system senses instability and reduces glute activation as a protective measure. What remains is effort without benefit. Safer glute exercises remove unnecessary variables. They place the body in positions where balance demands are reduced and joint angles are controlled. This allows the glutes to work without competition from fear, stiffness, or instability. When the body feels supported, muscle activation improves naturally. The glutes respond best when the nervous system feels safe. Another issue with squats after 50 is recovery cost. High load, multi-joint movements place significant stress on connective tissue. Tendons and ligaments adapt more slowly than muscles, particularly with age. When recovery is incomplete, inflammation accumulates. Safer exercises respect recovery by applying moderate load repeatedly rather than extreme load occasionally. There is also the issue of depth. Many people believe deeper is better, but glute activation peaks within specific ranges depending on hip structure and mobility. Safer exercises allow individuals to work within their optimal range rather than forcing depth that compromises alignment. Strength develops where it is needed most. Pain history plays a critical role. If someone associates squats with discomfort, the nervous system preemptively restricts motion. Muscle inhibition follows. Safer exercises bypass this learned response. When movement is consistently pain-free, the brain relaxes its guard. Over time, this recalibration can even make previously uncomfortable movements more accessible. Importantly, glutes do not exist to lift weights. They exist to guide motion. Safer exercises focus on movement quality rather than load. This improves coordination, reduces strain, and creates strength that transfers directly to daily life rather than remaining isolated to a workout context. The effectiveness of safer exercises lies in their precision. They do not overwhelm the body. They teach it. They allow the glutes to reclaim their role gradually, restoring strength in a way that feels sustainable rather than punishing. Posture is often treated as a cosmetic concern, but biologically it is a survival strategy. The way the body aligns itself determines how force travels through bones, joints, and soft tissue. After 50, posture commonly shifts forward. The pelvis tilts, the spine compresses, and the head drifts ahead of the body. This is not a flaw of discipline. It is a consequence of underactive glutes. When the glutes stop stabilizing the pelvis, the entire structure above them adapts to compensate. Walking reveals this clearly. Each step should be powered gently from the hips, with the glutes guiding leg movement while the spine remains tall and relaxed. When glutes are weak or inactive, steps shorten. The body leans forward. The lower back tightens to maintain balance. Walking becomes tiring not because of age, but because efficiency is lost. The body is working harder to achieve less movement. Safer glute exercises restore this efficiency by recentering the pelvis. When the glutes engage, they gently pull the pelvis into a neutral position. This reduces excessive spinal curvature and allows the torso to stack naturally over the hips. The head feels lighter. The shoulders relax. Posture improves without conscious correction because the body no longer needs to brace itself. Balance improves as a natural side effect. Balance is not about standing still. It is about controlling motion. The glutes play a key role in lateral stability, especially when weight shifts from one leg to the other. Everyday actions like stepping off a curb, turning, or reaching require this stability. When glutes are strong, these movements feel controlled. When they are weak, the body compensates with tension or hesitation. Fear of falling is common after 50, and it changes how people move. Movements become stiff. Steps become cautious. This stiffness actually increases fall risk by reducing adaptability. Safer glute exercises rebuild trust in the body's ability to stabilize itself. As confidence returns, movements soften. Reflexes sharpen. The body responds rather than reacts. There is also an energetic effect. Good posture reduces unnecessary muscle activation. When the skeleton is aligned, muscles do not need to overwork to hold the body upright. This conserves energy. Many people notice that they feel less fatigued during daily activities once glute function improves, even without significant increases in muscle size. Posture also influences breathing. A stable pelvis and upright spine allow the diaphragm to move freely. Breathing deepens. Oxygen delivery improves. This further enhances endurance and mental clarity. What appears to be a local change in the hips creates global improvements throughout the body. Safer exercises teach the body how to hold itself again. They do not demand effort. They invite organization. Over time, standing feels easier. Walking feels smoother. Balance feels natural. Strength expresses itself not as force, but as steadiness. Keynote 5. The human body does not transform through occasional effort. It transforms through repeated signals. After 50, this principle becomes more important, not less. Muscles, tendons, and the nervous system adapt according to what they experience most often. When glute training is sporadic or extreme, the body remains defensive. When it is consistent and precise, the body reorganizes itself quietly and efficiently. Safer exercises succeed because they lower the cost of participation. They do not demand long recovery periods or mental resistance. This makes daily practice possible. Daily practice creates predictability, and predictability is what allows the nervous system to relax. When the brain expects movement, it prepares for it. Muscles activate sooner. Joints move more freely. Strength becomes available without conscious effort. Consistency also reshapes the pelvis over time. Subtle improvements in muscle tone alter how the pelvis rests. This affects spinal alignment, hip mobility, and leg mechanics simultaneously. The body begins to move as a coordinated unit rather than a collection of compensations. Small improvements accumulate into meaningful change. There is a biological patience built into this process. Connective tissue responds slowly but reliably to repeated low-level stress. Tendons thicken. Ligaments become more resilient. This resilience protects against sudden demands and unexpected movements in daily life. The body becomes less fragile, not by hardening, but by organizing itself better. Psychologically, consistency builds trust. Each pain-free session becomes evidence that the body is capable. This reduces fear, which is one of the strongest inhibitors of muscle activation. As fear fades, movement becomes smoother. Confidence grows without being forced. Importantly, consistency respects aging rather than resisting it. The goal is not to reclaim youth, but preserve function. When glutes are trained safely and regularly, they continue to support the spine, guide movement, and protect joints. Strength remains accessible. Independence remains possible. Movement remains a source of stability rather than uncertainty.